Hey there, and welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and today I'm going to talk to you about my predictions for 2021. I'm going to throw a few things out there because there has been a lot happening. I'm stating the obvious right now. A lot has happened, but here's the thing. Social media has been changing and fast. Our industry in direct selling has been changing and fast. So a lot of us are wondering what's coming, what's going to happen next. Well, I'm going to talk to you about a few things that I think we can expect to see happening in the coming 12 to 18 months. Now, I will just preface this by saying these are my predictions. I just want to give you a few observations that I think, you know what, I've got these things in the back of my mind. I think observation-wise, there's a lot of stuff going on. I think there's a few things we need to be mindful of and careful of, and also some exciting things that I think are coming as well. So I'm going to throw this out here and say this is just from Sam. This is stuff that may or may not pan out. So we'll wait and see. But I just want to throw these things out there and let you know what I think is coming for 2021. So strap in and we'll get on into it. And I'm going to give you a few of my little thoughts as we go into this next year. Okay, so here are some predictions I've got for the coming year. Now, I've actually thrown, how many have I got here? I've got 5 that I've thrown down. You can tell that I'm just checking my notes here because I did have a really good solid think about this. And I thought, do you know, it's really interesting because I will often think of something. I'll go, you know what, I am so sure that this is going to happen in the coming months or years. And then it happens and I think I wish I put it out there because I was so on the money with that. So I'm actually kind of putting myself on the line here because there's a possibility that I could be totally off and wrong about some of these. And I am throwing myself out there with 1 or 2 of them. But the reason I want to just point a couple of these things out is not to change the way that you do things. It's more just to get you observing, paying attention, being mindful, because some of these are calculated predictions. And I think you'll probably find that even if I'm a little off with some of them, still being mindful is actually, and being cautious is potentially going to be helpful for your social media journey as well. So here's the very first one. Now, I don't think this one is really out there. I think this is relatively obvious, but I'm not seeing people preparing for it. So the first one is that I believe that in 2021, I think mobile is going to become even more important and more predominant than ever before. Now, we know mobile has very much so taken over use of computers, even tablets. And we've seen that just in 2020 where mobile phone sales increased substantially this year. So here's why this one's really important. If you're using social media to market your business, it is critical right now, even without this prediction coming to fruition, it is critical right now that you are optimizing all of your posts for mobile. What does that mean? Well, first of all, I highly recommend you consider the size and shape and quality of your posts to make sure that when you're taking your images, etc., it's going to show up well on mobile. Now, the general rule around this here is when you're taking images, if you can, for stories, have your image be in portrait mode is always going to be better. But if you're taking images or video, my recommendation is anywhere you possibly can, take it in landscape because it gives you the ability to edit that image or that video a little bit easier to optimize it for mobile. Now, the great thing is if you're using Canva or many of the design apps, they will prompt you to optimize your image to the right sizing so that it appears well on mobile devices. But just be a little bit mindful. If you can keep things to square where possible, it's likely to optimize your image for more devices and more platforms. Remembering that Instagram image size needs to be different to be optimized to Facebook and vice versa. So this is where we can go a little bit wrong. And what I mean by optimized is that when you, let's just say you take an image and you plonk it onto your Instagram feed and you take that exact same image and you plonk it onto your Facebook feed, it's not then optimized for Facebook, which means depending on the size of the image that you put on Instagram, it's highly possible you'll have bits cut off, edges shaved, etc., because Facebook will try and fit the image effectively for the platform. So you'll see this happening across both, where people use the same size images for both, and perhaps they end up getting things cut off. Maybe even they're using low resolution images and it just doesn't look great. So you do have to be a bit mindful if you're using an image for Instagram versus Facebook to try to make sure that you're thinking about your sizings. A really great thing to do is, if you are using an app like, for example, Canva, just check the difference and it will guide you and steer you towards that anyway. So here's something else I just want to remind you of. When it comes to mobile usage, think about how people use their mobile phones. That's also going to help you consider how you're going to post. So, for example, if you know that right now in 2020, the average amount of people that view any of your content, 70% of them are on a mobile device. In many cases, it's many more than that. For my page, because Facebook will actually tell you all this information, over 90% of people view my content via mobile device. That leaves only 10% of them looking at my content on a desktop. Now, I do a lot of my scheduling and my posting on desktop, which means I can often forget to optimize my posts for mobile. So I'm not thinking about it. It's a really great thing to do every now and again, is pick your mobile phone up and just have a little scroll through your own feed. See how things are appearing. Make sure that it looks good. Make sure that you're grabbing people's attention, because if you're not thinking about how you can get their attention nice and quickly on mobile device, you could very well be missing the mark. So try and make sure that you're considering mobile phone and what people might be doing. So mobile device is going to mean that they're probably using their Facebook feed on the fly. So you want to grab their attention really, really quickly, and they're seeing things a little differently. It's the same with your website as well. And if you're doing any landing pages, always check how it appears on mobile device. Often I see people creating landing pages or websites that are not mobile optimized, which means they're seeing it on a desktop and thinking, oh, I'm really proud of my website, it looks great. But when someone goes to look at it on a mobile device, everything's sitting on top of everything. It's jumbled. It's not clear. It looks terrible. Yet at least 70% of their fans and followers and website visitors are going to be looking at it on a mobile device. So no matter what you're doing, whether it's social media, whether it's websites, anything else, even without my prediction being the case, which I think will be more and more and more the case, still make sure that everything is optimized for mobile phones. So that's number one. I don't think that surprised anyone. I think mobile phones are going to grow even more and become even more prominent in 2021. Number two, I actually think that in 2021, our industry, direct selling, multi-level marketing, network marketing, party plan, is going to see significant growth. Here's why. I think people have become really programmed to move away from retail shopping and into online shopping. I'm also seeing a big shift towards people wanting to support their friends' businesses and services, because everyone is very aware that in order to keep people in business and supporting family and friends, etc., they need to go down that path. And so here's what I think is going to happen. People are less attuned to walking into a shop now and buying a product off a shelf. They've been forced into a position where they've had to get themselves comfortable with shopping online, which makes it easier for this industry. But here's the other part to this prediction. There are a lot of people that have either lost their jobs, gone out of business, or have learned the value of a healthy work-life balance because they got forced back into the home. So those people, you'll see a lot of them out there that were working full-time, then got forced into homeschooling their kids whilst working, and then had to go back to work, realize this is not the life I want to live anymore. I want to be able to work from home. I want to be able to have that balance where I can be a parent or where I can live my values and I can have a business at the same time. This is exactly what this industry provides. It gives people the ability to have that work-life balance, to be in an industry that they're passionate about, to control their own hours, to control their own success. And I'm predicting we're going to see a big growth in the industry for both of those reasons. Number one, because people are going to be more willing, ready, and capable of buying products online from people in the direct selling industry. And number two, because they're wanting to have that lifestyle change and have their own business, but perhaps they don't know how to go out and set up their very own business from scratch. They want the support of a direct selling company behind them. So I reckon we're going to see a big growth in 2021 in this business. So I would just suggest that you buckle up and get ready, because you're going to have an opportunity to get growth in your sales and potentially to grow your team as well. I think both of those things are going to happen. Here's one other thing I just want you to be mindful of. People are less comfortable now than ever before in going into retail stores. I don't think that that's going to change a lot in the coming months. But what I do think we need to remember is this industry is very unique in that we can provide people with products that they want, that are quality, that are amazing value, with the service that they simply can't get online through any other company. So people are wanting to shop online, but you can provide them with a service that is unmatched by most other online retailers. So you hold the cards. If you currently have a direct selling business, you have got an amazing opportunity to provide people with what they want through online shopping, whilst feeling good about supporting somebody who is running their own business, whilst also giving them amazing unmatched service. It's exactly what you do. So I think this is going to be really exciting, and I can't wait to see what happens. But I reckon I'm right. I reckon in 2021, we're going to see a real boost in this industry as well. Okay, number 3 is a bit of an interesting one. I'm throwing myself on the line here with this, but I've had a lot of people asking me about TikTok, and here is my prediction. I think TikTok is going to be a bit of a waste of time. It's gone through this crazy roller coaster. We've seen a lot happen with it. For those of you that don't know much about TikTok, it used to be an app called Musical.ly. Funnily enough, it was an app I came across on my daughter's mobile phone years ago, and it was actually a really scary app, which we ended up banning from our entire household because she was approached in an unsavory way through this particular app. And the reason being is that the kids were doing these, basically they could have a music video, and they could dance to the music video, and basically they were doing what do you call it, like dubbing? I don't know what you call it, but basically they would sing to the song, and they would do all of these cool things. They could do all these cool edits, video edits and bits and pieces, so it looked like almost like it was their own music video. Essentially, they were creating and building their own little music videos. The problem was that it was a very public app. So all of the stuff they put out there, anybody could see. So I'm just going to kind of leave that one out there and let you piece the bits together. But there were a lot of kids using it. There were a lot of adults watching it. And it was one of those slightly more risky social media platforms. It then got renamed, rebranded. It all changed over into TikTok. And then it went through this little boom. Trouble is that TikTok is not an overly secure platform, and it has been subject to a huge amount of bad publicity over 2020. And in fact, to the point where some countries have gone down the road of banning the app from use in their countries. So this is currently in discussion in Australia. It's been in discussion in America, in China. So TikTok is one of those things that at the moment doesn't have great publicity. A lot of businesses have been starting to use it for their marketing, and that's okay if you choose to go down that path. Here's where I would just caution people. I do feel that it is a risky platform right now to put all of your eggs into and to spend a lot of time, money, and resources on, because there is a chance that it will not be in existence in the coming months or year. Now, that is, again, just a prediction. So I'm putting this out here. I'm not basing this on any information that anyone has given me who's in the know. This is just my feeling. If you're thinking of using TikTok, for sure, go ahead and use it. Do I think that it is a really good marketing strategy? Probably not. It may be for the short term, but I would just caution you to make sure that you are spreading your work out, your marketing efforts into a few other areas as well, so that if for whatever reason it disappears over the course of the next 12 months in Australia, you're not losing a whole bunch of money and time and effort that you've popped into this platform. So that's my little prediction there. Again, just a little word of warning. Certainly just going to make sure that I'm putting this disclaimer out there. This is not based on any information other than simply a feeling I have, just to watch the waters there with that one. Okay. Number 4 is that groups and community, I believe, over the next 12 months are going to see a significant growth with a lot of attention going towards them. Now, my reason for this particular prediction is because Facebook has been putting a lot of emphasis on community over the last 2 to 3 years. Since being dragged through the courts and going through the whole Cambridge Analytica scandal, Facebook lost a lot of trust in its brand. And so it had to rebuild that. And part of the way that it did that was by putting a focus on healthy community. And you'll notice that over the last few years, groups have had quite a big push. Now, I made a prediction a couple of years ago that groups, I believed that advertising was going to become available within groups. And guess what's just happened? I saw this happen and I went, yes, I should have put that out there as a prediction on a podcast 2 years ago and everyone would have been going, yep, Sam knows what she's talking about. So here's the deal. Facebook has put so much emphasis onto groups that it's now allowing you to use many business features that you can use on business pages within groups as well. So there's now an insights tab within groups. So there are some insights you can check out in there. You also have the ability as well to advertise within some groups. That is, again, rolling out, and it's gently, but you do have the ability within some groups to do some advertising. So there's a lot of interesting things happening in that space. So my belief is that in 2021, there are going to be more features rolling into groups. I think the insights will probably grow. The advertising opportunities will increase. I think we'll see a lot of things changing and morphing in there as well in coming months. You'll also notice you can now schedule in groups, which is something a few years ago you couldn't do. So there's a lot of things changing. So I think if you're not yet using groups, I highly recommend that you do. I still believe in business pages. I still believe, obviously, your personal profile has a place within your business, but I do definitely recommend, if you haven't done it yet, to launch a group, whether that be for VIP customers, whether it's for team, or whether it's a special interest group. I think there is a value in all three of those, even if you've got the time to manage them. But I would just suggest that you get a group going if you haven't yet. Start building community, because I think we're going to see an even bigger shift towards really pushing that community focus as well. Okay, so number 5 and my last one here is that I really think, and this is a bit of a controversial one because you'll notice that I really don't push people towards doing this, but I think that there's going to be a big push from Facebook towards everyday users using the ads manager more and having it become more user friendly over the next year. So for those of you that don't know, Facebook's ad manager is a separate website that you go to outside of Facebook itself. You can navigate to it through Facebook, but it is a separate site that you go to run your ads through Facebook. Now, an advert is different to a boosted post. An advert is kind of like where you go in the background and you create what we call a dark post that floats around in Facebook cyberspace and lands on the news feeds of the people you've asked Facebook to target. How is a boosted post different? Well, a boosted post is when you take a post you've already put on your feed and you say, I want to push this out to more people. Whereas a Facebook ad, the dark post, doesn't appear on your main news feed. So they are different in that way. So what I think is going to happen is boosted posts at the moment are kind of like the basic version of an ad. They're the simplest form of a Facebook ad for people that don't have a lot of time and are not experienced with using the ad manager. It was something that Facebook put into play to get the less experienced users spending money on the platform. And you'll notice Facebook is very good at prompting you to boost posts. So here's what I think is going to happen. I reckon they're probably going to make that ad manager a lot more user-friendly, which in my opinion at the moment, it's not. It's a very clunky site to use. For those that are unsure of how to use it, it feels confusing and overwhelming. And even those people that use it every single day, it can still be frustrating to use. So it's not the best laid out website. I think we're going to see a big shift in that space. And I think on the back of that, there's going to be a real push to getting everyday users using that ad manager more. Whereas at the moment, the ad manager is more something used by people that are a little bit more experienced. You don't tend to get people jumping in there that are just kind of muddling their way through Facebook. Whereas those people will often hit that boost post button in the hope that it will reach more people. I do want to just caution you though with that. Don't get swept up into whatever goes on in that space. If you're one of those people that is wondering, should I be boosting posts? Should I be running ads? I get asked this every day in this business. Should I be boosting posts? Should I be hitting that button and pushing my post out to more people? My answer hasn't changed on that, and that is this. If you are not getting people clicking on your posts for free, then hitting the boost post button is not going to get you more results. So you can pay Facebook to push your post out to more people, but you can't pay people to click on your post. My recommendation for your focus should always be to get engagement and interaction on your posts in this industry. Get interaction and engagement on your posts without spending any money. Once you're getting engagement and interaction, that's your indication that you've cracked your communication code. You've worked out how to connect with your customer. At that point, you might want to work boosting posts or running some ads into your strategy. But until that stage, spending money on posts that are not working is not likely to be a good investment for your money, and it's likely that it will flop. You won't get the results. So I just want to throw that one out there. If you're thinking, I might boost some posts and I'll get a different result, you're not likely to get a different result just by pushing it out to more people. There are a few exceptions. Not going to go into that today, obviously. In fact, we might even do a little episode in the coming year on adverts and boosting. We've done one in the past, and I know it's definitely a really common question that comes up. So we'd love to speak a little bit more into that. But my prediction in this space is we are going to see a bit more of a push towards the ad manager, and I think they're probably going to do a bit of a revamp in there as well. So watch this space, be very interesting to see what happens. But just a few little predictions for you guys for the coming year, just a few things to keep in the back of your mind. Again, these are just some things that have been on my mind. So I'd be really curious to see what you think, what your thoughts are. And certainly, let's just wait and see what comes. But most importantly, take care of yourself. Have a really amazing week. And I look forward to seeing you on the podcast again next week. But bye for now. Have a good one.